I'm not saying that you have to graduate and never come home, even if it's like just traveling for a while. But I think it's just so important to go out and see the world and experience it.
Welcome to the Budget-Minded Traveler podcast, your source for the everyday inspiration and practical tips that make international travel accessible to everyone. Hey guys, welcome to the new and improved Budget-Minded Traveler podcast, which basically means we finally have new cover artwork and a new intro, and I am just a little bit excited about it. Today, we continue our series featuring people who have made big travel plans, and these interviews will be two parts. In part one, we get to meet these inspiring travelers and find out what they have planned and what moved them to make these big plans. And then in part two, we get to check back in with them during or after their big trips to see how everything went. So today's guest is Maddy Wolfe, a senior in college at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And Maddy and I met via my new favorite social media platform, Snapchat. If you have Snapchat, add me by username Traveling Jackie. I really love interacting on Snapchat. It's so cool to get to know you guys and see your faces. Those of you who follow me there already know this, so come find me there and say hi. Anyway, Maddy reached out to me to let me know that she's planning to graduate and move to Israel this year to accept a teaching position for a year. And I said, I need to get you on my show. Let's share your story. So fast forward to now, I am so glad to have made this connection because Maddy is simply an inspiration. And I can't wait for you to hear her words and understand her mindset today on this show. So let's get to it. We're so grateful to Osprey Packs for partnering with us and supporting the podcast, so please stay tuned for more about them later on. I have an opportunity for you to join me in real life for some real travel. Here's the latest Jump Adventures update. We are going to Greece for a bike and boat island hopping adventure this May 9th to 16th, 2025, and we still have space left. Check out jumpadventures.com to learn more and book now. We're going to have a yacht all to ourselves with ensuite cabins on board, so you get to sleep in the same bed every night as we start in Athens and make our way west toward the island of Corfu. You'll have your own bike for the week, e-bike if you want one, for cycling the islands as we go, in between meals crafted by our private chef on board, and all the relaxing you want to do on the top deck under the Mediterranean sun. These bike and boat adventures are our most carefree and relaxed trips. All you have to do is say yes and show up, and there's still space. Head over to jumpadventures.com to grab your spot now, and we'll see you there. Welcome to the show, Maddy. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I am good. I'm so good. Thank you for asking. We, unbeknownst to our listeners here, we've actually been chatting for probably a good 20 minutes already, and I'm super excited to talk to you because I love your enthusiasm for what you're about to do and where you are in your life. I think it's super exciting.
Thank you.
I just mentioned a little bit about what you're doing, but I would love to let you kind of take it away a little bit. Just tell us who you are, where you come from, and kind of where you are right now.
Yeah, so I am currently a senior in college at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in Madison, Wisconsin, but I am from the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and I am studying English literature, which leads me to my plans for next year, in that I think I want to go into education for a little while. And through a friend of a friend, all about networking, I've learned, I was able to get this teaching position at the Tel Aviv American International School in Israel. So I'm teaching middle schoolers next year there.
First of all, you're so brave for teaching middle schoolers, but let alone in Israel.
I know. So really excited for that.
Yeah, I can tell. And I'm so excited for you. Before we dive into that though, let's back up a bit. I know you've traveled outside of the US already, right?
Yes. Yep.
So where have you gone? What kind of travels have you done?
Yeah, so my parents are so wonderful, and when my sister and I have an older sister. When we were both really young, they have been taking us on trips, whether that has been in the U.S. or outside of the U.S. Mostly it's been to Europe, I think. And they lived before I was born. My dad was getting his PhD in Russian history, and so they spent the year in Moscow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But that was before I was born, unfortunately.
What if you were born in Russia? That'd be kind of crazy.
That would be. I think about that sometimes. I'm like, oh, if only. But
dang, you could have had a passport,
right? And so they took us to. I've been to Germany with them, Italy with them. And then St. Martin with them. And so that was, I think, and France. My mom used to be a French literature professor. And so we have like tons of friends that live in France, and we have family that live there. And so I've been there as well. But then, cool. Those are more like little family trips, I guess. So once I got to college, I wholeheartedly wanted to take advantage of the study abroad opportunities.
Yes.
Because there are so many available to everyone. And I think the hardest part was honestly choosing which one I wanted to go on.
That's so great. So you knew going in that you wanted to study abroad.
Yes. Yup.
Exactly the same as me. I totally knew, like before day one, I knew that was going to be my future. I love it.
Definitely. Yep. And so I spent my first year of college at Mount Holyoke College, which is a small all-female liberal arts school, like a little bit, an hour and a half sort of from Boston. And so because I transferred to Madison, I wasn't sure if I could study abroad during the year. And so I did a summer program. And the summer programs are a little bit more limited. And I was deciding between two very different places. But I was deciding between Copenhagen and Ghana.
Okay. Just a little different.
Yeah. And I ended up choosing Ghana.
Why? Why?
Yeah. I felt like that for what I wanted to get out of the experience, meaning I love being outside of my comfort zone in any sort of meaning with that phrase. And I had never been to Africa. I had been to Europe. And I felt like it would just be an experience that coming back home, it would be one that I would learn more from and take away more what I was looking to take away, I guess, from study abroad and experiencing such different cultures. And so I spent the summer there. And I took 2 classes at the University of Ghana, and then I helped out at this little school. And I was mostly, I think, with elementary school kids. And then we got to travel around Ghana a little bit too. So that was an experience that I hands down think of every single day. It's impacted me. Oh my gosh. I can't even so hugely. It's just so different from what I know, in a wonderful way that I just think about it like in all aspects of my life still.
Gosh, I totally get that. I love it.
Yeah. And so then that was the summer, a couple summers ago. And then it turned out that I could study abroad during the year. Yes. If I went somewhere in the UK, because I'm studying English, I would get the most credits for my major there to graduate on time. And so I was deciding between Galway in Ireland and Leeds, which is, I think it's the 3rd biggest city in England, and it's about 2 hours north of London. And it's like in the north of England is known as the Lake District because there are tons of beautiful lakes and stuff. So it was nestled up there near Manchester. And so I was there last spring for from January to about June. So that was definitely a much different experience, not even in a good way or a bad way, but I'm really glad and grateful that I was able to have those two experiences and have them be so different too, and like pose separate challenges and stuff. So
I love that you just said that. I mean, actually, there's so much of what you just said that I'm just like, yay, like I'm like this. It's so great because I can completely relate, even to the point where it's like, it's hard to express how much it changes you, how much it affects your everyday life after that. Right. I love that you got to take advantage of the second study abroad.
You're right. Me too.
Because I did that too. And you know what I say is, the first time that I studied abroad in Costa Rica, I always said, that it was the best thing I ever did. And that lasted for about a year, because then I studied abroad in Italy. And that became the best thing I ever did again. And you're absolutely right about it. Studying abroad in Costa Rica and studying abroad in Italy, I mean, they're two completely different places, kind of like Ghana and England. I mean, they contrast each other a lot, but it's like one isn't necessarily better than the other. They're so incredibly fulfilling, so transformative, so changing, and you have to adapt to the new place. You learn new lessons, you learn a new language, not in the case of England, but there's so much about it that you get to do all over again. And now, I mean, I studied abroad in Brazil too after college, and studying abroad, taking advantage of the way that I see study abroad, and maybe you see it this way too. And I love that you took advantage of this in Ghana specifically, because studying abroad is basically someone reaching out their hand and saying, take my hand, let's go do this. Yes. You're going to be supported. You're going to have a structure. There's a program in place. We've done this before and we will take care of you. It's not you going out into the world by yourself like, oh my, I don't even know where I'm sleeping at night. It's totally different. And so it's an amazing stepping stone to getting that getting your travel feet under you, and gaining the confidence to be in these crazy, crazy different situations, but being safe in that. Yeah,
that's so true. That's a really good point.
And I love that you did it in Ghana. I love that that's the one you chose. You chose wisely.
Right? But yeah, people, whenever I tell people that those are the two places they went to, they usually their next comment is, oh, so England was a piece of cake or something like that. And I love talking about it, because then I say, actually, it was fun and interesting to experience its own set of challenges, and see how those challenges were different than the ones in Ghana. And totally. I feel like I even went into that second study abroad experience with some preconceived ideas of what my semester would be like, just from, how I've thought about England in the past, or how the media has shown it, and just like our conceived notions of it. But it was really such like a pleasant surprise to see how much I didn't know about it and didn't know about the country. And I got to learn so many wonderful things about it, and how half the time I couldn't understand what anyone was saying still, even though they technically spoke English.
Such a good point.
I know. So that was a great one too.
So you spent about 6 months in England, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And how many months in Ghana?
I left beginning of June, and I got back, I think it was beginning of August.
Okay, so about 2 months. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so when was the last time that you did this? England was last spring?
Yeah, yep, last spring.
Okay, and so now you're getting ready to graduate. And obviously all of this living abroad has done something to you.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way of articulating that, I think.
Do you think you could articulate it further? Like, what is it? What is it that you obviously are different from a lot of your friends? You are set apart because you have this call to the other. And I want to know what you think sets you apart. What is that? What is it that's making you want to do this?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that my two study abroad experiences and also the trips that my parents took my sister and I on when we were growing up, I think that it's instilled the overall or overarching, I guess, realization and thought of just how much there is out there, and how we get stuck in little in our little communities and routines, and that isn't bad at all, but it just is something that I realized that maybe I don't gravitate towards as much. And I love being outside of my comfort zone. And I'm really just a curious person in general, like about the world and reading and everything related to that. And so that has really, and all of these experiences, I think, have really pushed me to want to know what's out there and enjoy it and live it up. And I recently I had a few health issues, and I'm completely okay now. But during when those were going on, I was just like laying in bed and thinking about how sort of like my life flashed before my eyes kind of thing, and that like I realized how short of a time that I really am alive, but I'm like really just like a spark, you know? Yeah. And that also made me want to wholeheartedly take advantage of opportunities that are there, you know, and that you've articulated in other episodes and in other interviews. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. But I will say that I feel very, very strongly about how I'm very aware that it's not going to be easy, and that it's not every day isn't going to be wonderful and a cakewalk. I guess in relation to study abroad specifically, that we are all still humans, and we're all still human beings with thoughts and feelings and emotions, and that that just because every day isn't wonderful and amazing doesn't mean that the experience, that you shouldn't be on that experience, I think. So.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? That's part of it. We don't go for rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
We go for personal growth. And you know that, you know, just like pruning fruit trees so that they'll bear fruit. Yeah. It hurts. Yeah. You know, we have to sacrifice things, and we go through crap a lot overseas. And but that's when you grow. Yeah. That's when you grow the most. It's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love directly related to that, just coming back and knowing what I'm capable of, or not even coming back and realizing that, but just like going through certain situations that you're like, whoa, I just did that, or like, I just navigated this. And you realize what you're capable of. And that's absolutely amazing. And ultimately, I feel like that's huge just in living life in general.
Oh my gosh, you're so right about that. Does anything come to mind specifically that you say?
Yes, actually, this is more of a comical one.
It's always good to be able to laugh about it later.
Yeah. In that, so I was flying from Bologna in Italy to Sevilla in Spain. I was visiting friends. This was when I was, abroad in England last spring. And I was flying Ryanair. And yes, you can find, cheap flights, which is wonderful, but I was still sort of new to navigating my baggage, because yes, the flights are cheap, but but you have to, like, you know, if it's like 2 kilograms overweight, they're like 50 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so
50 pounds meaning sterling, like money, not weight. Yeah. Like, give us your money.
Yeah.
You naive traveler. Yeah. Oh, it hurts.
And so I was getting my boarding pass because I wasn't able to print it out before.
Which you had to pay for.
Yes. Oh yeah, totally. And my bag, my suitcase that I was using, it itself was almost the weight that I was allowed to bring on the flight as my carry-on. And so I think I brought like a small roller. And so I had to empty my entire suitcase into plastic bags. I was carrying like 3 and rolling my suitcase. And so I like shoved the 3 plastic bags underneath my seat and then put my basically empty rolling suitcase up on the overhead. Because, and I think I ended up like combining it once we landed or something, but they didn't let me through security, and like I wasn't able to get my boarding pass and stuff until I did that. So that was one of those moments that I was like, I was the girl that everyone was staring at, like, aha, that naive traveler kind of thing. But in the end, never made that mistake again.
Mm-hmm. Totally. You know what? And you might make that mistake again too. I mean, it's funny how sometimes the most experienced travelers, seriously, are the ones who make the dumbest mistakes.
Yeah, totally, definitely.
There was one time, this is so funny still to me, it just cracks me up, but I never check bags because I just always carry on, So
it's so much easier, I feel like, most of the time.
Yeah, well, and you don't lose the bag. I've just had too many bad experiences, but
that's true.
I was flying from Spain to Turkey, and it was a hosted trip. And so I was like, you know what? I get to fly first class. I'm going to check a bag. It's going to be like luxury, And so I did. I checked the bag. I get to Turkey and I walk out of the airport and I'm like getting into the group van. I can't even say this without cracking up. And I totally didn't even have my bag. I just didn't even have it with me because I'm so not used to going to baggage claim that I didn't go pick it up. And so I had to go back into the airport and like I had to have security escort me back into the baggage claim area. It was such a mess, but it was hilarious. And I actually recorded it while it was happening. I made a video because I was laughing about it so hard, but that's not that wasn't a dangerous thing or, but it's just
right. Yeah.
Hilarious.
I know. I bet those security guys are like, okay, what are you doing?
It's like, I'm on a hosted trip. I'm like, I swear I'm an experienced traveler. You're never going to believe me, but this isn't my first day. We'll come right back to that. Let's take a moment now to thank our wonderful show sponsors. Osprey is the market leader in technical outdoor, travel, and everyday packs. And I've personally used Osprey packs since 2015. My favorites are the Fairview Trek 50 for multi-day hikes, the Cirrus 24 for day hikes, the Transporter Rolling Duffel 60, which is my trusty check luggage for faraway adventures, and of course, the countless packing cubes I use to organize everything that goes in them. We are proud to support each other on the podcast and beyond. We love getting outside, and we want to see more people outdoors. So find out more and join us at osprey.com. Oh my gosh. Anyway, okay. So back to the point here.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell us about what it is you're doing. Tell us about this thing in Israel and how you found it, why you decided to do it, why Israel, all of that stuff.
Yeah. So my mom is Jewish, and my dad is Catholic or was brought up Catholic. And so because one parent is Jewish, then I was able to go on Birthright, which is this trip that if you're Jewish at all, you can apply to go on a free, I think it's 12-day trip to Israel, and it's completely paid for, and they take you around everywhere. And so I was able to do that when I had just finished my freshman year of college in the summer for 2 weeks. And that was the first time I had been to Israel. And that was so amazing. It was a place that I didn't know anything about at all, or the Middle East in general, I think I could say. And so it was so, so neat just experiencing a new place that I really didn't know at all. And I didn't even have any preconceived ideas, didn't know what to expect. It was a really fascinating place, I think, because it was really cool to see just the interaction of religion and or Judaism, I guess I could use as an example, and cultural Judaism versus religious Judaism. And like we'd be in Jerusalem, and there'd be these like ancient walls and like the ancient temples to our right and left. And then we would turn a corner and there'd be like a billboard with like Jennifer Aniston's new movie on it or something, you know? And it was, so that was really cool to see. And so I left that trip loving my experience and having it be a place that I could definitely see myself going back to. And then we have really dear family friends. I used to sing, and so my voice teacher, she is Israeli, and she's married to an American, and he used to be the head of my high school. And so they became our good family friends. They became close with my parents, and they, a couple years ago, I think, he got a job as head of the American International School of Tel Aviv, and her family is still there, so they moved back there, and they were always, and it always was like sort of a joke, or not a joke, but it didn't become something serious, because he would say to me like, oh, there's this position that you should apply to, or like, oh, there's this position at the school that we could look into getting you, or like things like that. And it was always like, oh yeah, haha, like that would be amazing.
Yes.
But it wasn't until I was studying abroad in England and I found a cheap flight from London to Tel Aviv, and so I took the train down to London and then flew to Tel Aviv, and I stayed with them. I think I was there for about 5 days, and so they took me, and so they live in Tel Aviv, and so we stayed in Tel Aviv, as opposed to traveling all around Israel like I did on the birthright trip. And so when I was there, he took me to the school and I had like a few informal interviews. And when I left, he basically said that the people who I interviewed with, I think like it was the middle school and upper school directors, they thought I would be great for the position. And they said that to tell them by December if I wanted to do it. And
oh my gosh, really?
I know.
That sounds way too easy.
I know.
That's incredible.
It was one of those experiences that it sort of fell into my lap, which was so wonderful, and I like am so grateful to know the people that I do and to make these connections. And so that's something that I will say is that like really try to network and talk to the people that you know, even if it's not abroad. Like my best friend and roommate, she just from a friend of her mom, she got her job for after she graduates, like things like that. That's really helpful, I think.
I'm going to add on to that though. It's not just luck. Like you say that it fell into your lap, but you worked for that. You put yourself out there. I mean, you said yes to studying abroad in England, and then you said yes to finding this cool flight to Israel, where you then stayed with a local instead of, going to the hostel. You put it together.
Yeah, you're right.
It's so good for you.
And so, that's true. I think I did do steps that ensured that I would make this happen, because it was something that I did decide that I really wanted to do, and I really wanted to pursue and try to have it work out. And so I ended up telling them that I would take the position in around, like, I think it was October or November. And so, that's what I'll be doing. And I'll be working with middle school kids. And the school, because it's the American International School of Tel Aviv, the instruction is in English. And so I won't be teaching them English in the sense of how to speak English, but more of like literature and writing and everything, which I'm a huge nerd about that. So I'm really excited for that too.
Yeah, that's so great. It's perfect that you're studying English Lit.
Yeah, that definitely ties into my major and my interests.
I know, you get a job like right out of college too, which I also, I mean, well, let's not get into the education in the United States and that whole issue, but like how awesome is that you get to take your actual major and go overseas and use it, and it's English Lit. I love that.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, because I'm so used to getting the the expression of, or after being asked what I'm studying and I say English literature, and then there's the expression of like, oh, what are you going to do with that?
Dude,
like,
you and me both.
Yeah.
You and me both. I studied Spanish and Italian, and people look at me like I'm the craziest person ever. And you know what? Where am I right now?
Yeah, exactly.
I am living in Argentina. Last night, I actually attended a work meeting at a bar, which is awesome because it was St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah. And I saw that on your Snapchat.
Yeah. I was sitting there. I mean, we had this meeting in Spanish over beer in Patagonia, and this is my job.
Oh, my gosh.
So
that seems surreal.
In your face to all those people who ever asked me that, you know?
Yep.
And you're doing it too. I love it. So around this, what do your parents and friends think like about you going to Israel? Are they supportive?
Yeah. Yes. So I'm really lucky in that my parents are so wonderful and so supportive. I think that my mom was a little bit hesitant, I think, sending me just with everything that's going on there, especially. But I think that it really reassures her that our good family friends will be there to act as like sort of pseudo parents if anything happens to me. Yep. Awesome. And so I'm really, really lucky, I think, that they're very supportive and are just like, go do it. This will be a great experience. They're really excited to visit, so that'll be fun. And then my friends, they're very supportive too. They think it's really cool, I think. But I will say that while my friends and my family are very supportive, which I'm really grateful for, not everyone definitely is. And like a friend, my friend's mom recently, she, when I was home over winter break, we were talking about our plans, and I said what I was doing, and she just straight up asked me, oh, why do you want to do that kind of thing? And I don't blame her or anyone else who has asked me similar questions, because I think that I feel like that part of the world definitely has a negative stigma around it for good reason, I guess, but also for that's maybe that people don't really make those comments without really knowing a whole lot, I guess. And so then I had to sort of explain to her, and I tried to keep it short and sweet, I guess, but why I wanted to do this. And I have just been ignoring, frankly, I've just like have been ignoring people when they look at me like, oh, like what? Why?
Yeah. And you're always going to get those questions and those comments and those looks. And
That's
you know
true.
what? One day, you know what it's going to turn into? It's going to turn into your life is so cool.
Yes, exactly. And I'm stoked for that.
Your life is already so cool. I'm super excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you have any fears around it?
Yeah, I definitely do. Even though I have been fortunate enough to have traveled to some of these cool places before, my personality is definitely one that sort of goes against the whole go with the flow traveling experiences that you need to have, I think. Meaning, like, let's say I'm meeting a friend for dinner at the end of the week. I'm that person that's like, okay, well, where are we going to meet? Or like, where am I, like, what time, and need to know everything ahead of time. And so I think that in a way that is maybe another reason why I gravitate so much towards all of this, because I love learning from it, because it's so different from how my brain seems to be wired. And so that's something I'm sort of apprehensive about, especially going to Israel, where I don't know the language. And I'm doing this little anecdote, I guess. I'm doing a language program before I start teaching over the summer there. So that'll be really good at the University of Tel Aviv. So I'm glad that I'm doing that. Yeah. So that there's going to be so many experiences in not just moving there, but just like, getting my groceries like, dealing with what happens when my toilet, doesn't flush and everything, that that I am a little nervous to see how I handle those situations. And I'm not worried, but I'm also just sort of apprehensive, I guess, because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yep. And you can't know. I mean, that's the adventure is
right. Yeah.
Literally. I mean, the adventure is walking out your front door and being somewhere else. And every step is different because you don't know who you're going to see or what they're going to say to you or who might be selling what on the street or where you should get your breakfast that morning or, like every single thing, every little decision is an adventure. And it is exhausting and it's completely rewarding.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good way of putting it. And I also am sort of apprehensive about just maybe the more emotional side of things, in that I think it's at a really weird time in my life too, in that I will have just graduated college. So my life is sort of, and for so long I've been going in such a linear direction, like middle school, then high school, then I'm going to apply to college, then I go to college, then I graduate, and so now at this point I will have just finished something that I've been working towards like ever since I was born. I guess, or
school, right?
Yeah, school, yeah. And so I'm curious to see how that'll play on my emotions, I think, in a wonderful way. I mean, like how I'll feel just sort of, or I anticipate that I'll feel sort of free, but also how I don't know what direction to go, and how I don't know what to do next. And that's something that I'm so not used to, yet at the same time, it's very thrilling.
It is. I love that. It's closing one door and opening another one and opening yourself to it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also, I've been thinking a lot lately too about how, or being at the age that I'm at, I think that I'm starting to realize that honestly, no one can do any of this except for me, meaning that I'm the one in charge of what I do and my future and how and what my future looks like, and that no one else can honestly do that for me except for me. And that is terrifying, but also very exciting, and I'm excited to see what I come up with, I guess.
That's so brilliant. I mean, I say it like that too. It's so true. If you want to go to Israel, do you think someone else is going to set that up for you? No. You're the one who has to go out and get it. So good for you for realizing that, because that's true about everything. Every single thing, everything that you prioritize is because you prioritize it. It's because you want it. Where there is a will, there is a way. And you are the one who has to find it.
Yes. Love it.
I love it too. So what is it that you want to get out of it?
Yeah, wow, that's a very loaded question.
I know. Have fun. Just kidding.
I think that what I want to get out of it sort of relates to what we were just talking about, in that I really have this travel bug, and I have dipped my toes in, or maybe my feet, I guess. And there's so much more that I want to see, both of the world, but also of myself, I think. And I'm really into knowing myself better. And there's a really great quote, actually, about that I think you'll like. Mindy Kaling wrote about it in her first book, and it was when her mom was dying, I think, and she said, "Mom, what am I going to do without you? You're my best friend." And her mom said, "Mindy, you need to be your own best friend." And I just love that quote, because it's like, it's so true. Like, you have to be your own best friend, because in the end, like, you're going to always be there for yourself. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to exploring in Israel, but also in hopefully travels after that, because that's something that I think is just so essential to living a full life and experiencing life, and like what's important to both me and the rest of the world. So.
It is so important. I'm so impressed by you.
Thank you.
I just want to put that out there because I love where you are already. And I cannot wait to see how this goes. I'm so excited that we're doing this in like kind of a 2-part way because I can't wait to see actually, what you do get out of it and where you do end up, which kind of leads to my final question really is, where do you see yourself afterwards? Because this is going to be a year, right?
Yes. Yep. So I have the position. My contract is for a year. Yep.
And so where do you see yourself afterwards? What do you think now that you're going to do? This is like an impossible question. I realize this, but I do want to know what you're thinking.
Yeah. I have thought about it. And while I've thought about it, I really have no idea. I think that I don't think I'm ready to go home yet. I think that I'm really interested in maybe going to school for social work eventually, but I have such a great role model for that in that when we moved from Michigan, where I was born, to Minnesota when I was 5, she was a French literature professor, and at age, I think it was like her mid-40s, she went to law school. So she had like this major career change, and that makes me realize that even though I'm interested in social work, that it doesn't need to happen anytime soon, I don't think. And so I definitely want to keep traveling, and that's something that I know I need to figure out the details, and that those will come. But I don't think that I want to come home yet. And I think that that's something that I really, like you were saying before, I just need to take full advantage of that and find opportunities for myself and grow from all those experiences and connect with people like you and everything. So that's, I think, the plan is that I don't want to come home yet. Maybe if the education thing is still something that I'm interested in, maybe a TEFL program or something like that, at least for the next couple of years, because I think that would be relatively easy way to keep dipping my toes in before I really figure out details. But yeah, that's currently what I sort of have in mind.
I love that you just said 3 times, I don't want to come home yet. Yeah. 3 times you said that.
That's the thing I'm positive about. Yeah. Everything else is a maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most important thing, and I feel like you already get this, which is so cool at your age, but just knowing to your core, that what the world does with their lives doesn't mean that that's what you have to do with yours.
Right. Exactly. That's such a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that the opportunities will come. And then if you're listening and if you're interested, you will see them and you can say yes according to what you want with your life,
Yes.
So that's why I'm so excited to see where you go. I can't wait for part 2.
I know, me too. It'll be so cool. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to add about this?
Yeah, actually there is. I think that just a short little bit. I know that that society and schooling and everything puts so much pressure on us as we graduate. And I guess I'm speaking to my peers right now, to get a job and settle down and start working. And I think that that's wonderful. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but I think that that'll always be there. Like how I might be interested in social work. Like there are always programs that I can do, always master's programs I can go back to, if I want to pursue that. And I feel like we shouldn't, I feel like I'm not saying that you have to graduate and never come home, even if it's like just traveling for a while. But I think it's just so important to go out and see the world and experience it. Because like I said, I mean those jobs at home and stuff, they'll be there. They aren't going anywhere. The rest of the world, while it's not going anywhere, hopefully. It is
Hopefully.
constantly changing, and there are so many absolutely amazing experiences that you just won't get from, sitting in a classroom. So I definitely wanna support people in those decisions and urge them to go out and do what they want to do, and make the impossible possible, because it is possible.
Totally. I love that you added that. And I think on that note, why wait to see how the world is going to change you?
Right. Exactly.
Why wait to see how those cultures and those opportunities are going to, make you a stronger person?
Right.
And, why wait? Because you can do that. You can do that now.
Yeah, definitely. So
I'm so excited for you.
thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited for part 2.
I am too. I know we have quite a ways to go before then.
You're right.
Quite an adventure on the horizon. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with all of us. It's been super fun, and can't wait to follow you and see what happens. And can't wait to talk to you next time.
Yay. Thanks, Jackie.
All right. Thanks. Okay, there you have it. College grads, I stand with Maddy in posing a challenge to you to travel and see the world, whether that is through study abroad, which is an incredible opportunity, or taking a job, paid or volunteer, overseas, or simply taking time after graduating to get out and experience something new for a while. I know from personal experience how much it has changed my life, and I can only hope to encourage you to do the same. You can find the show notes for this episode at thebudgetmindedtraveler.com/66. And remember, find me on Snapchat at travelingjackie and say hi. And stay tuned for the next episode. We're sitting down with a couple who has plans that I am pretty sure will blow your mind. So until then, thanks for tuning in. Happy travels.